minus 20 seconds.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Yay! This evening we'll be talking with two really special people. So Adam's here to talk about surveying using Therion, and Petie is here to talk about surveying using Survex. So the main thing here today is about cave surveying, as you're already seeing in our flyers. And so after the both presentations, we'll be back with a couple of questions, and feel free to interact with us and to leave comments or to text us on Facebook or Instagram. Either the places is fine. So I'll be there collecting the questions, and then I'll be right back after the presentations to talk with you all. Okay, hope you enjoy, hope you learn, and hope you are as exciting to hear both of them as I am. Okay, so see you soon.
Petie's up, yeah. All right.
Hi, everyone. So to begin with, I should first clarify that Camilla and I live together, just in case any of you were feeling like judgmentally shouting at us for being in the same room together. So I'd like to say hello to Adam, who will be who's my co-presenter tonight, who will be telling you all about the magic and intricacies of Therion. So I suppose when we were first asked to do this presentation, we weren't really quite sure how to approach it, because I guess teaching surveying over a video is maybe a bit like trying to teach someone how to dance over video, because it depends so much on sort of in-cave experience. But we decided we'd discuss some of the software and maybe some of the data management techniques that we use to draw up cave surveys. So I'll probably start off now with a short introduction to cave surveying, just outlining the basic process and the basic information that you will get out of a cave when you've surveyed it. Because I'm not sure how many of you have actually done cave surveying. So I'm just going to share my screen now, and hopefully this will work. Does everyone see that? Is that visible, Paul? Yes? Yes? Can you hear me? Nod? Sorry, all I see is Adam for feedback, so I'm not quite sure what's going on. Left-hand wall, which is... Oh. I had no voice. Oh, thanks, Paul. I'm just gonna...
Apologies about that. I didn't realize I had Petie muted.
Right, because I could hear him the whole time. So.
All right. Well, at least Adam learned something. Too bad about the rest of you guys. So back to start. As I was saying, this is a basic bit of a cave passage. Just a plan. Maybe this is a streamway running down this way, and this is the bit of cave that you're going to survey. So the way that you're going to do that is you're going to mark out a series of stations along the passageway, and you're going to measure the distance between these. So going from station 1 to station 2, you'll take the length measurement this way, and then you'll also take a measurement, a compass bearing, which will give you the direction between the two stations relative to north. And then you'll take an inclination, which will tell you the slope between the two different points. And you advance one station after another down along the passage. You also gather some other information, which we call LRUD data, which means left, right, up, down. And what that is, that's just a measurement from every station to the left-hand wall, to the right-hand wall, upwards and downwards. So that gives you a basic height and breadth for the passage. That's the traditional way that you would measure passage size in the cave. The more modern way is to take splays. because now most people tend to survey with laser measurers. So you can just fire laser or measurements to many points around the wall in any direction you want, and that'll give you a more accurate picture of the shape of the passage. So those are the two basic sort of passage information types that you get: left, right, up, down, and splays. So then, if we look at the basic information in a tabular format, say we'll start here at S1, which is our station 1, and you're going from that station to the next station, which is station 2. And you'll measure the distance, which in this case is 4.5 meters. You'll get the compass bearing, which is 140 degrees, and inclination of -6. So you'll, in the very basic sense, you have 5 columns of information. And then you can repeat that from station 2 to 3, and then you get your distance, compass, and Kleino. And over time, you'll build up a gradual spreadsheet with all this information. So this is the basic information that we'll be dealing with this evening in Survex. This then is a sketch or a survey of a cave that I surveyed maybe 9 years ago now, Church Cave in County Mayo. And you can see the red line there that I was telling you about, the centerline data. And it's really just the skeleton upon which the flesh of the cave passages is put. So you see all this cave passage, it's basically measured via one single spindly line down through the middle of the cave passages. So I'll X out of that, and I'll go to, where will I go to next? Survex, okay. So Survex, I don't know how many people use it. I don't know too many people who've used it, but actually I'm getting ahead of myself. Better show you what it does by demonstration. So I'm just going to open up this file here in this program, which is called Avon, which is one of the programs associated with Survex. And what Avon is, it's a 3D viewer, so that you can view the cave centerline information in 3 dimensions. So you see in this plan view, we have a load of lines which represent various passages. And then if I take this pointer here and turn it around, you can see the cave in from the side in elevation. And to zoom in a bit and just hit spacebar, you can see that we have a full 3D model of the cave passage that's been built up. And this isn't quite a drawing program, or it isn't a finished survey. It's a 3D model in its own right, and it'll tell you interesting things. It'll give you help you tabulate total depths of the cave, lengths. It'll give you information on the distance between various points, so you can tell the straight line distance from the entrance to the sump at the end. If you look at this line down the bottom, we'll get information on that, and that's 1.9 kilometers away. There's also various different ways of viewing the information. If you go up here to view, you can color the information by things like, well, we currently have it colored by depth. So the red indicates the highest part of the cave, and the blue indicates the lowest part of the cave. But we can color it by things like date. So anything in blue you see here was surveyed way back in 2007, 8, 9, and anything red is recently surveyed cave passage that's been surveyed in the past few years. You can also color by gradient. It's not that interesting. I've never used that before, actually. We can color by survey, so you can see all the different segments of the cave as they were surveyed. That pink section I surveyed, and the green was surveyed many years before by a different group who did all of this in one go. So if I go over here, then you can see that this is actually made up of different, actually I'll change the view to something a bit more visible, color by depth again. You see in this drop down here, you have the names of various sections, and as we go around, you see them highlighted in highlighted in single boxes. So what these represent are different sections of the survey that have been compiled together into one huge master survey. So Survex can be got online on survex.com. If you go to downloads, you can just select what program you want for it. It's available for most operating systems. If you use Windows, it's quite handy because it will come with an automatic installer that installs it straight away. However, if you're on a Mac, it's a little bit more technical. You have to give instructions to the computer via the terminal, which is this command line interface program. But it's generally not too bad. You could just have to copy some of these instructions in, and it should sort of process automatically and download from the internet, install on your computer. But it's a little less straightforward than on a Mac. And then you have various other more obscure, geekier types of operating systems that you can use with it, and I don't know very much about them. So a little word maybe on how Survex works. I'm just going to go to an old version of Survex that I had. It's from 2012. And you notice that there's no actual program on your desktop called Survex. Survex is kind of like a cluster of programs. You have here Avon, which is the viewer I just had open, and that's just a component of Survex. You also have these executables, which are various bits of software that do different things to cave survey information. The main one is called Cavern, which we've used, which is the one that processes all the information. And in the olden times, you would have had to, again, go to the command line interface, and you would have to, I don't know, change directory, documents, caving, blah, blah, blah. You would have to manually instruct the program on how to process the information. But recently it's gotten a fair bit more slicker, so it's become a good bit more accessible than it used to be. It used to be a really obscure, geeky program that was very difficult to learn. It's still very difficult to learn, I guess, but I hope some of the changes they've made recently do help a bit. So I'm going to go to this folder here, and I'm going to show you an example of a Survex file, this one here. You'll notice it ends in a .svx, which is the Survex file type, and you can take that .survex file and just drag it to Avon, and hopefully that'll open up. Voila. Here we have another section of Cave Survey. This one, this year, January, before all the caving stopped. We've got a center line, which is this strong, just turn off these displays. It's got a center line, which is nice and clear. I can turn on the X's. These indicate the stations, and if I hit this, I can give up the names of each of these stations. And then I can also show displays. I'm going to fade those because they're very visible. I'm going to turn off that and turn off this, so you can see all of the measurements to the passage walls, which gives some indication of the size of these chambers. So Survex is a really old program. It dates back to, I think, about 1991. And it was made by some computer engineers from Cambridge University to be used on their annual expedition to Austria. So a lot of it is kind of old school. For example, if I open up a Survex file, I drag it to TextEdit, which is a text editing program. Little notebook. There we go. And you see it's just a text file. And all of this information that you see in Avon here is coming out of this Word, or this basic text file. And the way that it does that is it's kind of clever, really. It's kind of like a markup language, a bit like HTML or something like that, but it's a bit more basic. What it does is it consists of a series of instructions. So any asterisk is an indication for the program to do something. So here we have asterisk date, and you're telling it what the date this cave was surveyed on. Here we have asterisk data, and you're telling it what type of data you're producing. So it can actually deal with really basic stuff sometimes. So I'm just going to shut that down, and I'm going to write a Survex file from scratch. So I have here text edit. I'm just going to open up a new document in that. So this is just a basic text editor. And you can do stuff like, I don't know, make bulleted lists and blah, blah, blah. It bears mentioning that one of the big early problems I had with Survex was that I didn't realize you have to use plain text. So this is a rich text file. So if I highlight this, I can make it bold. I can italicize it. I can, indent things. I can add bulleted lists. Survex won't work with that. It needs to be a plain text file, which is a more basic version again. So if I go to File or Format, Make Plain Text, I hit that, and it'll convert it to plain text. So we lose all of our formatting options, and we just have a very basic text document. Kind of all we can do is type, and you can't highlight things or make things bold or anything. And in a Mac, you use text edit. If you're on Windows, you probably use Notepad. I know that Notepad won't work for some people, and they have to download a program called Notepad++. But generally, any text-based editor should work for this. So I'm going to start off by creating an asterisk, which indicates to Survex that you're creating an instruction. And I'm going to type begin. And then I'm going to go down, asterisk, end. So Survex knows that between the words begin and end is all the survey data. And if I type something out here, it's not going to include it. It's irrelevant. So just in here, I'm going to type in 1. I'm going to hit tab to move forward, hit 2, and then I'm going to type in 4.5, 140, tab again, and go -5. So this is basic survey information. So you have a from station, a to station, a length. This is your compass bearing, and this is your inclination. And Survex knows that numbers in this format are cave survey information, so it should be able to process that. So if we go just create a new line, 2, 3, I'm going to go 6.2, just making up numbers, 1, 2, blah, 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 later. 6.2, go 95, plus 18. And then I'm going to save this. That's saved? Not saved. Why won't it save? Save. Ah, the dreaded spinning pinwheel.
We got technical difficulties already.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen this before. I don't use iCloud, so don't know why it's trying to do that. Oh, brilliant. I don't know where it's saved, though. I'm going to duplicate this first, and then I'm going to save it. Okay. Yeah, I think for some reason it's trying to save the file to iCloud, which I've never known before. Oh, shit. No, that was it. Ah, God damn it. I X out of it too soon. Okay. Survex examples. I'm just going to call this mega block.
Mega block. This
Mega
is
block.
possibly the worst tech issue I've ever seen ever on any live stream. Trouble saving a file.
Thank you, Adam. You're yeah, I'm gonna delete that.
Don't worry, when we go through my Therion stuff, you're going to see a lot of errors, probably.
Yeah, I think Survex, the errors are trivial by comparison. So here we have mega block. So megablock is a text file. You see it over here. It's a plain text document. So we need to take that plain text document and we need to rename it. So no, come on. Rename it to a Survex file. So you just type .svx, and it'll ask you if you want to change that. You say yes, and now it's become a Survex file. So we've just changed a text file into a Survex file, and hopefully now if I drag this into Avon, it'll do something. Nope, hasn't worked. Not good.
Did you give the Survex file a name?
I didn't, but it doesn't actually need a name usually.
Did you fill up what kind of data it was using?
No, you see, normally
Normal.
it'll deal with a very basic file. Yeah, I'm going to just name it and see if that makes a difference. But you normally you can just give it a generic title and it'll work. So if I save that, try again. Oh man, Survex, or even this seems to have stopped working. Okay, I'm going to go open. See if I can do it this way. Oh, undefined error. My God.
Maybe add the data normal from to tape compass Climo.
Yeah, I tried this last night and it worked perfectly with the same amount of information. So begin end. Normally it gives you an error message as well. So I think the problem may be with Survex itself. Megablock, end megablock. Nope, that's diving. How long will that take? Oh, sorry. I was talking to Paul there. For everyone else, who is basically like a voice in my head, who ceases to go away. It seems to, yeah. This is most.
If you go and just hit Command Q, it will quit the app. Or if you force quit, yeah. There we are. I'm Paul, by the way.
I'm going to open this again. I'm just going to check and see if Avon is still working. Yes, it is. That's working fine. So I'm going to take this example, actually, no display example. And I'm going to open it up and I'm going to copy in some of the information. So I'm just going to change the name of this. Get rid of that stuff. Get rid of the date. I'm going to just mega block as well. I'm going to resave this. Shut that down. Shut you down. So no spray example. Bring it to Avon. And voila, it does something. So that's kind of illustrative of what Survex can be like. It can be very finicky sometimes because you're having to create the file yourself. You're not relying on a program to produce the information for you. So I'm just going to delete that, move that to trash. I'm going to rename this mega block. Now, will this work? Yes. Okay. So we have a working file now. Do we? Mega block. Go to text edit. So that's a very basic file. We've just given it a name. We've given it some data. I'm just going to reduce the amount of data in here, just for argument's sake. And we have our stations, we have our lengths, we have our compass bearings, and we have our inclinations. And now we can add some extra information to it. So we can give it a date. So asterisk date 2020, what's today, 06.11. we can tell it who was on the team. So we can type in team, Adam, team Dion, team Paul. And Adam had the disto. Dion was sketching, and Paul was selecting stations. Yes. And then we can tell it what units we're in, because you'll notice we haven't actually told it that these are meters. The program automatically assumes that it's meters because that's just the most commonly used unit of measurement, but you can also use feet if you're in the US or if you're in the 19th century, and you can also use it to change the information in different ways. So let's say you were given information in centimeters. Now you can't actually tell it, you can't type in how do you spell it, centimeter? You can't do this. You have to take, say, meters, and you have to put in a multiplier, so 0.01 meters. So the unit is 0.01 meters, or a centimeter, essentially. And I have had that problem before. And if it's millimeters, you just add another zero, and you can be clever that way. You can tell it what type of data you're using. So again, it automatically assumes that we have a from station to to station, a length, compass bearing, and an inclination. But for some reason, you might want to clarify that. So you will tell it what type of data you're using, and you're just saying, I'm using normal data from to length, compass, and inclination. That's useful if you're using different types of data across the same file, which I'll show you about in a little bit. We can also calibrate information. If we type in calibrate, let's say we want to calibrate the length. A classic example would be if you're using a measuring tape and the measuring tape snapped off at the end, you would say measuring tape plus, or where is it? No, plus 20, that's wrong, plus 20 centimeters. So you're adding an extra 20 centimeters to each length because your tape was broken, and you can just add in a note saying tape broken. Okay, yeah. So this little, what's this? This is a semicolon. This is just gives an instruction to Survex that it's a note. So anything after this line or after this semicolon is not regarded in the program. It's just a note. So you can add one here. You can just say through squeeze, or you can add information on where the stations are. Station is large, boulder, marked, M-A-R-K-E, marked with TIPX, stuff like that. And this won't intrude in the processing of the cave survey. We can also tell it where the entrance is. So let's assume that point 0 is the entrance. We can add in an instruction, entrance, E-N-T-R-A-N-C-E, 1. Or sorry, no, 1, 0. So you're telling it that the entrance is station 0. And this is useful when you have a lot of surveys and you want to see where the entrances are. Anything else then? I think that'll do for now. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to drag this once more to Avon, so that'll regenerate it. Let me see. Error, unknown units, centimeters. So we have to go back to our text edit file. Plus 0.20, 0.0, yeah, that's 20 centimeters now. So that should go here, hit reprocess. Now it works. So I'm just going to zoom in.
Why did you have to put it in centimeters?
Yeah, I've just realized that. So I'm going to take this away because now the cave is 1/100th of the size it should be. So if I save that, go back to Finder, drag it once more to Avon. Yeah, now it's a proper size. Voila. And if we go to view, we can highlight entrances. So we have station 0 here, which we now know is the entrance. Yeah, so let's add some more information. Let's say there's a sump and you have data. Let's say you've persuaded Jim Warney to survey the sump for you. So this is done in a slightly different way. We need to basically create like a sub survey within the survey file. So we'll just type begin and end once again. And we'll put, instead of having data normal, we'll have a different type of data. We'll have sump data. So we'll hit this data diving, and it has a different set of information. So we have station depth, new line tape, and compass. So rather than using inclination, a diver would survey a sump using a depth gauge. I'm just going to put that between the two tags instead. So let's say we start at station 10. Station 10, that's our first station, and then we need to give the depth. So because it's at the start of sump, it would be depth 0. We need a new line, so I hit return there to bring us down to a new line. And we have a tape, so we're going to measure the length. So let's say we have 13 meters into the sump, and the compass bearing is... what's a good bearing to have? 0... So 240, 240, and then we go to our next station. We'll say this is 11 minus 4. I have some information here I can copy to speed things up. To avoid me having to make stuff up as I go. No, wrong one. There we go. No, still wrong. Control Z, Control C.
Yeah, I know.
Voila, okay, that's more like it. So I'm going to just put in a note here, semicolon, sump, just to remind us that this is a sump. And I'm going to save, and hopefully this will process. Oh yes, it did, in one go. So now we see here we have sump data. Here was the old survey that we had, and if I go to view, color by style, you'll see that we have the two different data types indicated. You have the normal dry caver style up here, and then the sump takes off where the diving section is visible. Okay, that's not right. The sump is rising, so we've an error in our data, so the depth should be minus. Let's save that. Reprocess. And now the sump goes down as nature intended. So that's a basic file. Now I'm going to delete this. This is my test from last night. That's just one file on its own. But you'll remember in the Shannon thing I showed you earlier. All Shannon, is this the one? Yeah. Color by depth. You'll see that this is actually made up of various different segments, which are made up of loads of little subsections. So the beauty of Survex is that you can combine these basic text files again and again and again, and build up an entire cave out of small little files. So I'm just going to show you an example of that. This is a cave called Polisumera, which I surveyed a few years ago. And here we have data. So I'm just going to open up this file, and you see we have a typical Survex file, begin, export, you have all your information in here, and so on and so forth. And we actually have a series of these. Ramblers should be another one. Yeah, another such file. So if I go back one folder, we have a file called Polisumera, and that's also a Survex file. But once you see, when we open it up, it's very different to any other Survex file I've been showing you. You don't have any survey data here. You just have two types of instructions. We have include and equate. So include is basically telling Survex where to find data. So it's telling it go to the folder called data, which is here, and look for a file called West Cave. So if you open that up, you have West Cave here, and then you have all the various files are indicated in this include section, and above it we have equate. And what equate does is that it ties together these surveys. So if we go back into, I'm just gonna process this survey so you can see what the cave looks like. There it is, view, color by survey, and I'm going to highlight. So I'm going to highlight exported points. So you see the various different colors here indicate the different files that are in use in the project, and we have little blue points where they meet. So these are exported points. So what's happened here is that in this file and in this file, you've instructed Survex to find a point and treat them as though they are the same point. So this section up here is called this is the end. So if I go into data, I can find this is the end. And I open that up. And here you see we've 20 stations, going from 1 to 20. And up at the top, we have an instruction called export. And it's telling us to export station number 20. So back into Avon, if I turn on the names, you'll see, yeah, here's station 17, 18, 19, and 20. And we have another survey down here called main passage, and we have station 14, 15, 16. So if we go into, where is it? If we go into main passage, we should find that there is an exported station called 16. So yeah, this three stations have been exported, and one of them is 16. So if I go back to Polysumra, this is the file that ties them all together. We should find an equate that brings the two of those together. Yeah, here it is. So equate station 20 in this is the end, and equate station 16 in the main passage, and treat them as though they are the same point, and that pulls them together. And that's how you build up an entire cave out of multiple stations. So let's give this a go with our mega block survey. So firstly, let's create a new folder. I'm going to call this mega block, as you do. And I'm going to take this mega block file and put it in there. And I'm going to create a new folder in here called data. I'm going to drag mega block in there, open up, and I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to call one of these mega block 1, and one of these mega block 2. So I'm going to open up both of these now. So currently these are the same information. I'm just going to change the name here, mega block 1, and you must make sure that the name behind the begin and end tags is the exact same. So we have two surveys now called mega block 1. We go up here and we do the same mega block 2. So these are now two different cave surveys. So I'm just gonna get rid of that just to tidy things up a bit. And mega block 2, we're going to say that's further into the cave, so it doesn't have an entrance. And we're going to split the data. So 0 to 5. Oh, get rid of that. Not the right way. Get rid of 0 or 10 to 5. And over here we're going to do obverse. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lovely. I'm going to get rid of survey data or the sump data as well. So we don't really need that anymore. And now I'm going to tell Survex to stitch the two of these surveys together. So we're going to export a point. And normally you put export as the first station or the first instruction, export. 5. Copy that over here. Save that. So that looks about right. Yeah, okay, save that, save that. Now in this folder here, we're going to create another cave survey. I'm going to copy this in here. I'm going to call this mega block combined. And now open this up in TextEdit. So I'm just going to get rid of everything in here. I'm going to call this mega block combi. Mega block combi. Yeah, this is their combined file. And I'm going to give it an instruction: include space data / mega block 1 and mega block 2. So that's our instruction to Survex to go into the data file and find the 2 mega block surveys. And then we're going to tell Survex to stitch these 2 together. So we're going to go asterisk equate space mega block 1, and we give a dot and 5. So the dot is just separates the name of the cave from the station. And it's important as well, something I glossed over is that you need to be very careful about how you name the various files, because they need to be as simple as possible. So I always just have one word text, all lowercase, no underscores, no dots, no spaces, definitely no spaces, because that'll confuse Survex. Also, don't have any accents. So if you're typing in Irish or if you're typing German, no umlauts, no fadas, nothing like that. It just works with very basic text. Sorry, to go back to equate, we hit a space, we type in mega block 2.5. We save that file. And now we drag this into Avon, and it's full of errors. Okay. Couldn't open data / mega block 1. Couldn't open data / mega block 2. Survey name does not match begin in mega block combi. So first one, mega block combi. We're missing an I. I accidentally deleted that. So I'm going to go to Avon. I'm going to reprocess. So we've lost one of our errors. Couldn't open. What's wrong?
Tell us what's wrong.
Mega first line of combo. What? Where's my guardian angel?
Right.
Mega block, mega block, mega block, mega block, mega block 1, mega block 2.
Mega block combi. What?
There's nothing wrong with mega block combi. It's saying that couldn't open data / mega block 1. So possibly there's a naming issue. Data mega block 1, mega block 2. So can I open this in Avon? Yeah, that works fine. And mega block 2, that opens fine. So the problem is probably with this. Include data / mega block.
SVX.
Generally, that doesn't matter. Sorry, someone's just suggesting that I add .xvx to the end. I don't normally do that because it usually knows to look for Survex files.
Error? Oh, there, no fixed points. No fixed points.
So megablock combi Survex 5.10. So it's telling me here, these 2 numbers indicate the line that the error is happening on. So it goes,
Is megablock combi in the same folder? Where is megablock combi relative to the data folder?
It is, I believe.
Is it finding its way correctly?
So yeah, megablock combi data. I'm going to take these to this survey and I'm going to drag it here. I've never done this before, but hopefully this will work. Go back to combi. Get rid of equate, and I'm going to get rid of data. So I'm going to try and process the two surveys in the same folder. Make that be. I feel like I'm going mad now.
Are you not able to open them, Petie, because the files are already open in file?
Sorry?
Is it because you have them already open in text edit?
No, you can generally process them when they're open. So now we have a different error. Survey not all collected to fixed stations. Mac OS Cavern. Interesting. I'm just going to go to trash. So I did this last night here just as a practice, and it worked no problem. So I'm just going to go back to the trash folder and see if I can put back, replace, do it. Megablock, find. Gonna change the name of this, Survex, it's already Survex. Drag it into Avon. Oh, and look, it works, amazing. So that worked a little differently. I was, Megablock. I'm gonna open these up again.
I blame Mac OS. You need to use Linux.
If you're going to persevere with Survex, you'll need a fair bit of patience because it's quite a infuriating program. I'm going to equate. Can you equate? No, export. Export 5. Shut that down. So megablock 1. Go to export. Technical problems. Megablock. Yeah, shut that down. Megablock combined. Bring this here. Begin. So equate. Block 1.5. 2.5. Save that. Okay. Come on. Yes! Worked. So.
Round of applause, everyone.
Nope. Change color by. Color by date. Okay, yeah. So those two surveys, I changed the date slightly so you can see that there's two different surveys here. If we highlight entrances, we see, oh, no, there shouldn't be an entrance highlighted there. Highlight, exported points, and unhide entrance. Yeah, so you see the point here where these two caves have been connected. So if I hit names, you can see that you have on one part Megablock 1 and Megablock 2, which have been stitched together. And that basically is the process that you use to build something big like the Shannon survey. So if I go into here, into the Shannon survey, this goes a long way down a tree. So you have stage after stage in this. So you have a folder at the end, which is full of survey data, which is get pulled back into the next folder. And this folder here, this Survex here, Easter, will tie all of these together, and then the information that comes out of this will be brought back into the next level. So it's basically like a big sort of pyramid-shaped stack where you're pulling everything back to get to one point where you have an entire Survex model for Mana and Cavan with just a few basic lines of information here. It can be quite a tedious process, as you've just seen. A lot of the times Survex will inexplicably not work, but it is hugely powerful. If I could just give some examples, here's Drynan. I'm going to turn the names off. Color by depth. That's a nice way of doing it. This is, I think, 75 kilometers of cave. So if you look at the scale barrier, 5 kilometers from tip to toe. And this is made up. This is a huge surveying project, and you see, as I'm highlighting different bits here, it's made up of a huge number of survey files. That's just one cave put together. If I go here, we have the peak system. Drag that into Avon. This is all the caves in the Peak District in one file. So if I highlight entrances, every green dot represents a cave. So this is a huge project, a huge file. If we hit make it rotate automatically, we have I think the 25 or 26 kilometers of Peak Cavern in here. You see there's Titan, the deepest pitch in the UK with all its displays. Yeah, massively powerful program, from very simple stuff to very complicated stuff. I could go on, but I think I've spoken enough now at this stage. Yeah. So
1 hour on
I'm going to
survey.
stop sharing. What it was? Oh crap! Sorry, man.
I didn't even notice.
I'm going to
It's
stop
just
sharing
so
now.
engaging that you could speak for hours, Petie, and no one would
Wow.
get bored at all.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed looking at me trying to solve errors in fiddly little text documents.
Yeah, I think about half of that time was probably just errors.
Wait until Therion. Right.
I mean, no, hopefully I have all of my stuff set up already for Therion, because I didn't want to go through what you did, like make a file from scratch and then just get a million errors. So
I thought I had everything worked out as well, but clearly I did not. So am I still screen sharing there, or do I need to? No, I'm not.
No, you're good.
No,
so
you're not.
I can take over now. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna figure
go
this
ahead.
out. Hello, everybody. My name is Adam, and I'm going to show you how to use Therion. Well, actually, I'm going to show you how to do my workflow, which is using a disk docks with Bluetooth and a smartphone with the TopoDroid app, so that you can use, so you can do digital cave surveying, so no paper. So I need to figure out how to share my screen again. There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
There we start sharing now.
Yep. Let me just resize this so that the lovely people can see things. Oh, look, Camilla's joined.
Awesome. Hi, Camilla. Right. We good?
Yep.
Grand. So, right. I can't remember where I was going to start. Yeah, so TopoDroid. So what I do is I use one of these laser measurement devices. Let me just see if I can see myself. There we go. It's called a disk docks. So you can use this to automatically measure your cave. Not automatically. You can press the center button and it'll take a laser measurement. I don't know if you can see this, but it'll show you the distance from the bottom of the disk docks to the point you're firing at, your compass bearing and your inclination all in one measurement, and you can repeatedly take these measurements over and over and over again, and you can connect it to this app here, which you can get on the Google Play Store. I'm not sure if it's available for iPhones, but there's other cave surveying apps available for different devices. I think there's Windows Phone versions as well. Actually, I think Windows phones can use the Pocket Topo app. But yeah, this is what the app looks like. And I'll just also show you the link to Therion, which is something else I'm going to show you. So it's therion.spelio.sk, which will take you to this website, and all the downloads are available from this download section here. You can actually also download examples, and if you don't understand what I'm telling you now, you can run through these examples and hopefully you get a better idea of some complicated cave systems. So with that, I will go and talk about TopoDroid. Where are we? Livestream. So I've just done a few screenshots to go through the kind of a very basic workflow on how to actually use TopoDroid. So when you first open the app, you're going to end up on a screen that looks like this. It's going to ask you to turn on Bluetooth. You should allow it to turn on Bluetooth. when you first open it, you won't have this list of files or folders in the background. These are all the surveys that I've been doing. But you start off, you allow it to connect to Bluetooth, and then on the top right up here, if you press that button, it'll take you into this next screen, and this will be a list of all the disk doxes that you've connected to. I won't go through the process on how to connect to Bluetooth. It's something you have to kind of figure out for yourself. But once it's connected, you then will go back to this screen here, and then there's a big plus button on the top, and if you click that, it'll allow you to make a new survey, and you're going to name it whatever you want. So like Blood Moon here, Tiger Trap. Yeah. Once you've made your survey, this is one example that we did from Daxstein last year. It's a cave called Tiger Trap. You'll end up on a screen like this. Again, when you first open it, or when you first create your survey, you won't end up with a list of this. This is all my survey data. So it's in the same form that Petie talked about earlier with Survex. You'll have a from station, a to station, your distance, your compass bearing here, and your inclination. All these numbers in between. So Petie also talked about LRUD data, which is the left, right, up, down. Because I'm doing digital cave surveying and I'm saving all the points really, really quickly, you don't have to just take the minimum amount of points, which are left, right, up, down. You can take as many splays as you want to get a more accurate representation of the cave passage. So these ones here in between the cave stations, the stations are the legs between stations are in white, and these blue ones are the splays from a specific station. You have your disto, you're taking stations in the cave and all your splays. The disto can actually store up to, I think, 1,000 points. At some point, you want to get the data into TopoDroid. So when your Bluetooth is connected, you can press the download button here, which is this downward facing arrow, and you press that, and then it'll slowly import all this data. And as it's importing, you'll see it appear here onto this list. And once the data is all finished importing, you'll see a number on the disto. Can you actually see the this Paul or Petie?
Yeah, they can see it. Yeah, they can see. Yep.
Yep, they can see it. Yep.
The number on the top left, the little 2, that is the number of points that are actually stored on the device. So if you have any stored on there, you know, you're going to want to download them off the device, and it'll automatically delete them off the device when you download. So once you've got your data in here, the next idea is that you're going to want to draw your sketch in the cave. So that's this button here. It's create a new sketch. Clicking that, you will go through another screen, which I will show you at the end of this. You will press that button, and then you will end up with something like this. So this is the plan, which is the downward view of the cave. So you can see the data 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a junction where it goes off from station 2 onto 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3. So this is the plan view of this data. If you want to then draw your sketch in the cave, I actually recommend getting a little compass stylus, or not compass stylus for your phone. So I got this in deals for like €1 or something. It's just a little rubber tip. It may or may not work with your phone screen, but it's a lot more accurate than using your finger. It's pretty much impossible to try and draw a cave survey unless you're really zoomed in. So at that point, you can press this draw button up here, that one, and then you can draw a sketch like this. So this is just a really basic sketch. It's not very accurate, but for the example, it's fine. This is the same thing, just zoomed in. So you've got in red, these will be the walls of the cave, and you can see these white lines connecting the station. That's your center line data. These little blue ones, these are your splays, which should go to the walls. And the more splays you have, the better it'll allow you to draw your cave walls more accurately. And you can also add areas in the app. They're not great, but it's just a good way to, when you're exporting your sketch, just to see where your areas are. And there's a number of different line types and point types that you can actually use in the app. Yeah, so in draw mode, that's, again, when you've pressed this button up here, you're in draw mode. I've just highlighted that with this draw. You can try your different line types. So you've got this white line, the red line, which is for walls, dashed lines, and all that kind of stuff. So when you finish drawing, when you want to get this sketch off your phone and onto your computer, this is the process you're going to follow. So you click this button up here, which will open up the options, and you can click the export button, and then it'll open up this export sketch with a drop down menu. So for my workflow, I'm going to click Therion. I will always click Therion. There's a number of different ways to actually do cave surveying from TopoDroid or apps. You can export just this as an image and then redraw over, or you can export it directly as a Therion file. I find that a lot more useful. So you're going to click Therion, and then that will save the sketch on your phone in some folder that's buried really deep somewhere in your phone. So you're going to have to find that later. So going back to, say, this screen here, when you're creating your new sketch using this button, you don't go directly onto this screen. You will end up on this screen here. You've got a new sketch, and you're going to want to name your sketch. It's important that you name your sketch something memorable, something very simple as well. As Petie said earlier, avoid spaces in the names, underscores, capital letters, accents. That being said, I do not avoid any of those things, but if you don't know what you're doing, keep the name simple. Station, this will be your starting station for that sketch, if I remember correctly. Anyway, what I wanted to highlight here is the extended profile button. There are two different profiles that you can represent the cave in. So if you remember, like, or if you think about it, a 3D model on a two-dimensional piece of paper, if you're looking at the cave from the side, there's different angles that you can look at. And if you imagine the cave, say it spirals around down like this, and you're looking at it from this angle, it's just going to kind of look like a weird zigzag thing. Or if the cave, say, if you're looking at it from this angle, forms an L shape, you're looking at an L shape from the side. But if you rotate and look from this angle, you've got the L shape comes down like this, and then it goes inwards. So you have no actual representation of the cave from certain angles, depending on the shape of the cave. So extended profile, if you check this option, will give you an extended elevation, which essentially is if you take this spiral cave, it takes the top of the cave and the bottom of the cave and kind of stretches it out to give you more of a length representation of the cave from the side. If you don't click that, you will get just the option to choose which angle you want to see your profile from, which will be something like this. So this is looking at it at 0 degrees, and this is the side profile of the cave. So you can see all the survey stations. We start at the entrance, we go down a slope to here to a small chamber, and you've got a junction, and then it slopes down here, and it goes this way as well, and then down a pitch. So we're looking at it from the side. We can see the vertical change in the height of the cave. This is the same data, looking at it 90 degrees. So I assume that's east and not west. If you look at this one, say 3, 4, 5, 6 is pointing to the left. Rotate this 90 degrees. 3, 4, 5, 6 is now pointing towards us. So that's your different elevation directions. The important thing is, if you do multiple elevations, they all have to be the same. They all have to be looking in the same direction. So if you choose 90 degrees from one of your profile sketches, you have to choose 90 degrees for all of them. Otherwise, well, it's not going to give you a correct drawing. Even also Therion's going to throw up a whole lot of errors, and you're just going to have to end up redrawing everything anyways. So make sure everything is the same before you start drawing your sketch. I don't know why I've gone back to the screen. Right, okay, so after drawing your sketches on TopoDroid, after making sure they're correctly selected, the right elevations, and after you have gone back to the screen and exported each sketch individually, the last thing that you want to do, you don't have to do it, but it's the fastest way to get all your data off the phone in one go. We go back to the main folder where we can see our cave, which is called Tiger Trap down here. If you hold down on the Tiger Trap button, it will open up this menu. This is the overview of this specific cave survey folder, which is the cave Tiger Trap. Then you can click this button up here, which will open up the settings, and it'll give you the option to export the entire survey, which will export all the data for the survey, a bunch of redundant files that we're not going to use, but also all the exported sketches that we already exported. And I choose to export it to a zip folder, which will lump it all into one single folder that you can then find on your phone later, and then rip all the data straight off really easily. So you click zip and then save. That is basically, yeah, in a nutshell, how you would use TopoDroid. There's a lot more to it, and it's really not that user-friendly to learn, but if you have a general overview, it's not too hard. And the only thing I want to mention is changing the active survey station. So let's say we go from station 1 to 2, and then 2 to 3, and then 3 to 4, and then 4 to 5. And then I realized, oh, okay, at station 3 there was a junction. I want to start making my data link to station 3 instead of continuing on from 5, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have to hold down this station. So where it says number 3, if the junction is at 3, hold down on junction 3, and that should highlight green, and that tells you station 3 is now the active station, and then it'll start attaching your data onto station 3 instead. This took me a really long time to figure out how to do, and it's probably one of the main things that's the problem with TopoDroid. It's not, well, the instruction manual isn't amazing, so there's a lot of stuff that you have to learn for yourself. So that's generally the idea on how to use TopoDroid, culminating in having a zip folder with pretty much all your data. Yeah, all your data. So I've already gone ahead and exported all this data. So I've got this Tiger Trap zip. So you're going to have to find this in your phone. Generally, I think it'll be stored somewhere, like if you click onto your phone down here, open up a folder that says TopoDroid, scroll down to zip, a folder called zip, and it'll show you all your zip folders. So drag that onto your computer, and ideally you're going to then drag that into another folder. I've got a folder called Tiger Trap Testing. And then you drag your folder in here, or your zip folder in here, and that's where you want to extract it. It'll extract a lot of useless files, and it'll just clutter up whatever folder you're using. So if you make a new folder, that'll be the best way to do it. So essentially, the files that are exported are not this one, not this one, not this one, not this one. These are the two files that you want: tigertrap.th and tigertrap1p.th2. There are three files that are really important in Therion. There is the .th file, the .th2 file, and this file that I just threw away, thconfig. So I'm going to go through what each of those files mean and why they're important. So I can open up Therion, wait for this to load, and you end up on an interface that looks a bit like this. Maybe that's a bit too big. Yeah, nice and small like this. So you end up in an interface like this. You've got a bunch of buttons here, like open new files, save files, close files, blah, 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 Windows. These buttons here are the important buttons, really. I don't know what that is. Is that undo? Yeah, undo and redo. So this here may be what's opened first. This is your Therion text editor. This is how you are going to edit your .th file. This center button is your th2 file editor. It's the map editor, and this is where you're going to draw all your files. And this last one here is the compiler editor, which is how the file that you edit in here is going to tell Therion how you want to compile your project. So don't resize the window. Okay. So I'm not going to use it like this. I'm going to open up the th file. So this is what the .th file looks like. This is the first file you're going to deal with probably when you're working with Therion. This is the file that contains all your data. It's actually modeled off Survex, so it's pretty much the same thing. You've got all of your centerline data in here, and you can have include things, you can have equate options. It's as powerful as Survex and more, because you can actually draw the map as well. So generally you're going to start, I think in Survex you had a begin tag. In this you've got survey, the survey title, this minus title, and Tiger Trap. So this will create the title of the survey in the actual survey that you produce. Then you have the option centerline, and in between centerline and end centerline is where you're going to throw all of your data. So when you export the data from TopoDroid, it automatically produces this for you, which is why I really like TopoDroid. It's quite powerful in that it creates not a complete survey, but an almost usable survey. So you can throw your date in using this option, date 2018 9th. or 5th to the 9th. You can have your team in there as well. Similarly to how the semicolon in Survex produces the comment or a note, a hash symbol will produce a comment. So you can have your team, which is Adam, PD, Emily, JP. You can also have your magnetic declination, which doesn't vary that much, but you can include that. Units, length, meters, that's basically the same as in, if not the exact same as in Survex. Units, compass, clino, degrees. And this is also the exact same as in Survex. You've got data normal from to, length, compass, clino. So here is where we have our displays from station 1. So yeah, the directions, the inclinations, and the lengths. I'm going to ignore these extend left, extend verticals, and extend rights for the time being. In fact, I'll probably not discuss them at all because they're only important for the extended elevation, which I'm not going to go through now. But we've got our normal data, which is our from station, to station, length, compass, and clino. And then just a list of all those legs, which work their way through the cave. When you export this file, I forgot to return this to the way it is exported. When you first export this file from TopoDroid, and when you first open it, this is how it looks. These are actually commented out. You're going to want to uncomment those so they're actual usable functions. But for the time being, I'm just going to recomment them. And then just the last thing, everything that says has a start, like center line, the start center line needs an end center line. This first option here, start survey, requires an end survey. So really the last function you're going to have on this file is an end survey function. So that's the basic structure of the .th file, which is kind of your like center file. This is what draws all the other files together. If you've got multiple different smaller surveys that you want to link together, you do it pretty much in the same way as in Survex. You include each of those files. So you include the .th2 file, which is going to be your sketches, and then you pull them all together in quite different points. So that out of the way, I'll come back to this later, and then we'll go have a look at the .th2 file. So, so we go to open and tiger trap underscore, or yeah, that. This is our sketch. So this is exactly what we had sketched earlier. You said not to resize this window, Paul. I'm after moving it. It's fine. Just want to go back to here. TopoDroid and go back to our sketch. So this is the sketch. Anything that we draw here will be exported as this .th2 file. And the good thing about the .th2 file is that it's directly editable itself. So I can zoom in on a specific section and I can drag around these lines, delete them, draw new ones, reshape them, etc., etc. Here you can see different survey stations. Each of these points correspond to these survey stations here in this sketch. And if you look up here, if you click a survey station, you can see up here, it says survey station, the options minus name 3. This is important. Every survey station that you put into one of these sketches requires a name. The name that you give it is required to be in here somewhere in one of these included sets of centerline data. If you don't, or rather if you have one way or the other, if you have a survey station in here that is not linked to another survey station, I believe it will throw up an error if it's not listed here, or maybe vice versa. Yeah, if it's in the th2 file, it throws up an error if it's not linked properly. So you need to name these properly, making sure that it has a corresponding station in your centerline data. So this is the th2 file, the basic structure of the th2 file. This actually is how it looks. The first thing says text. This is called a scrap. Every one of your sketches will be generated inside what's called a scrap. The th2 file can contain multiple scraps. So if I actually scroll to the end here, you see it says start scrap and end scrap. If I go to there, I can actually throw in a new scrap by clicking this button up here. Is that the select? This button here. So if you hover over these options, it doesn't actually give you a little floaty box telling you what it is. You have to look down at the bottom left here to see what the button does. But this is the insert new scrap button. And then you can start a new, completely independent sketch within this file that's going to be used for something else. I'm going to undo that anyways. So each scrap has to have a name. When you export this file from TopoDroid, it'll automatically receive the name. So how do I go to that? If I go to the scraps here, because we've clicked into this scrap, it's been given the ID Tiger Trap 1P. You can change that. I do recommend changing it later because I don't actually like this. You just have to make sure you know that you've changed it, and you need to know what you've changed it to, and you need to remember that you've changed it because you're going to use that name in the in your .th file. So that is the basic idea behind the map editor. There's all these different buttons, such as, insert new point. So, it can insert survey stations. If this was, I won't actually go into that. If this was just an image that you were tracing over, which you can do, you can export instead of the .th2 file, you can export this as a picture and then just draw over it and manually put in your survey stations and manually put in the walls. You can insert new lines, different walls, rock borders, survey lines, slopes. But yeah, let's just say I want to put in a wall. You just click as you go, and that's your new wall. Back to drawing later. I just want to show you the process of actually generating this as a PDF file. So this is your th2 file. You understand now that that is where your sketch data is contained, along with your survey stations that will be linked into this .th file. Next, after you've added your center line to your th file, then you have to input your th2 file. This is you telling the .th file that, okay, the sketch data is contained in this file, we want to use it. So now Therion knows the .th file called Tiger Trap is connected with this .th2 file sketch. Lastly, this here generates the map. So inside the .th2 file, I told you could create multiple scraps. You might do that because there might be, let's zoom out here. Here's a bit of passage, and maybe there's a big lump of passage that is all over here that you do not want to generate in the final survey for whatever reason. If that is set as a different scrap, and we do not include that scrap name here within map, that scrap will not be included in the survey that we generate. So what we said that this scrap, so this button here, select scrap, right? So if I scroll down to the scrap, the scrap ID, I can't find it. Scraps. The ID of the scrap is Tiger Trap 1P. That's what's included here. So we've told Therion to include the th2 file, and now we're telling it with this map command that we want to include this scrap in what we're generating. So that will essentially generate everything, all these lines, all these points that are within the scrap. And you can see that they're within the scrap because the scrap starts here, contains a bunch of lines, and then it ends here. So everything in between is contained in that scrap. So everything that you put in here will end up on the survey. So then lastly, you have some options for the map. So we've got the title of the map, M1P. it just automatically generated that as the map title. I would recommend changing the name of the map to something a bit more reasonable. So I think for the final survey here, I had Tiger Trap Entrance as the name of the map, just because it makes more sense. You also have the projection. This is the plan. So we're looking down on the cave. So we have the projection plan option in there. I'm actually not sure what happens if you don't include that, but just include it if it's the plan anyway. So that's the basic overview of the .th file and how you connect it with the .th2 file. Now, how do we generate the survey itself? We want to create a PDF file that we can send off to everyone so they now have a map of the cave. What do we do? How do we tell Therion how to add all this stuff together and generate a PDF? That is this last window here. So actually just some shortcuts. F1 will go to here, F2 will go to here, F3 will go to here, which is the Therion compiler. This is the screen where you type some commands and you're telling Therion, okay, I want to use the TH file called this and the map in this TH file, and I want to generate a PDF that maybe has this colors and is got like this information in it. So you might want to tell the server, or you might want to tell Therion that you want to list the legend. So what each of the symbols mean, you might want to tell it to display how long the cave is, how deep the cave is, the direction that north is relative to the cave, a lot of stuff. So I'll show you a very basic th config file. So that is what the file is that we're going to use here. I'm going to put it, that's why I removed it from the folder. A th conf, or a conf, yeah, what's it called? Th config. Back here. Th config is not generated by TopoDroid. You have to create this file yourself, and these are all the options that this is how you customize your survey. So I'm going to put that back into this folder here, Tiger Trap testing. So we have the th file with the th2 file and the th config file all together. So I'm going to go to here. I'm going to open a new file. I believe that it's necessary that the file is called thconfig. I'm not sure if you're actually able to name it anything else. Don't quote me on that. You can look at the documentation on the Therion website if that's possible. It's not possible, no? Okay, I'm not sure. Either way, for safety, just call it thconfig and think of it as Therion config. So this is one that I've already created. It's really simple. You start with source tigertrap.th. You're telling it, okay, take the source file, which is this central data file. This is the center of your project. So source is tigertrap.th. Now we want to set the layout of the PDF, or it doesn't have to be PDF, but you can generate a lot of different types of files. But this is how you generate your specify your layout. So layout, tigertrap header. This is the name I've given to my layout, which I'm going to use down here again. It can be whatever you want. So we're going to use a scale of 1 to 100. Map header 0, 100 southwest. I can't remember what that actually means. It's possibly the compass bearing. I have no idea. You can color the map background. You can color the map foreground. So this will be the cave passage color, and this will be the color of the PDF outside of the cave passage. You can have statistics such as the cave length or the depth, explo length on. Not sure what that is. I didn't generate this file myself. I copied it off the internet. Transparency on, have no idea what this means. Opacity, no idea actually what the effects of these do. Legend on, I love having legend on because it'll show you what each of these symbols will mean in there. Color legend off. Don't know why that's there if it's off. Code meta post. I believe this might be necessary for certain things to take effect. Symbol hide line survey. So I think that what this does, if I remember correctly, I haven't drawn a survey in quite a while. How do I zoom? I don't like generating a survey with the center line going through it. It's fine when you've got the skeleton. So when you're looking in Survex, the entire survey is this line. When you've drawn your map, I don't like looking at that in the cave. Some people will say, yeah, you should put that in. I think it's ugly, and yeah, so I just like to remove it, but you can leave it in if you want. So you're telling it, here's the layout. that we're going to generate for this source, tigertrap.th. What I said earlier is we included in our map tigertrap, so we included this scrap in our map, and we called our map N1P. We can include multiple maps in this .th file. In the thconfig file, you need to specify which map that you're selecting. If there's only one map in here, I believe that you do not need to specify or select a map. If there's multiple maps, I'm pretty sure that you have to select the map that you want to use. So we've called it M1P. So here we select M1P. Then lastly, you type export map, projection plan. This will tell it that it's a plan view, minus layout. This will give us the option to use our layout. So the command is minus layout followed by whatever you've called your layout, which is tigertrap header. And then this is the output file. So we've used the command minus output, and we're going to produce a PDF file, .pdf, called tiger testing. If everything is done correct, I tested this yesterday and it worked perfectly. So I can press this compile button here, I can press this compile button up here, or I can press F9. I'm going to press F9 just because I like using my shortcuts. You will get this thing will pop up. You'll hear a little thing. I do get a warning here. I wonder what that is. thconfig object found, not found, M1P. That might be a problem. We'll just see if we got a file. Yeah, I don't know what that error actually means because we do have M1P. Yeah, okay, so we deleted this earlier. We've got tiger testing. There we go. So we've got a nice PDF. We can zoom in and it should stay nice and scaled. So this is a really, really bad sketch of the cave, but it's been generated. We've included the legend. We've changed the background color and the foreground color. And you've got all these awful red things. This is what happens if you, if you generate the survey directly with what you took from TopoDroid. That's not a survey. That's trash. So that was just to go over how to generate the survey. Most of your time is going to be spent. If your time is not spent trying to solve errors, most of your time is going to be spent in your .th2 file editing it. So I'm going to zoom in and I'm just going to go through briefly. What time are we? Do we have a lot of time, Paul?
You've been speaking now for 40 minutes, so
okay.
It's up to you how long you want to go, but we've been going now for about an hour and a half.
Okay. I'll go briefly with how to, change the lines. So
just before you do, there was just a wee point on the thconfig file. You can rename that. It's an extension as long as it ends in .thconfig. And then we've got a question from Joanna Meldner. Apologies. Yeah. Have you seen stroke used sexy topo on Android? If so, what are your thoughts and why did you choose to use it instead of TopoDroid? I mean, why did you choose to use TopoDroid instead of sexy topo?
So the first app I ever downloaded on my phone was TopoDroid. I didn't know about sexy topo, and eventually I figured out how to use TopoDroid and realized, okay, it's kind of powerful, even though it's not user friendly. And then someone told me about sexy topo, and I went on, and it didn't seem to have a lot of the features that I had learned how to use in TopoDroid. That being said, I don't know if it didn't have those features or if they weren't immediately obvious. But when I did first download sexy topo, I think it was very, very young in its production stage, so I don't think it actually did have a lot of the features. So that would be why I don't use sexy topo. That being said, I could go back and use it and learn how to use it, and it may be a million times better. I've heard a lot of good things these days about sexy topo, and I've also heard a lot of amazing things about QWave. Axel Hack from the Daxstein Cave and Expedition loves QWave. He raves about it. He tells anyone who uses TopoDroid, and it's stupid to use TopoDroid, use QWave. I have used QWave, and it is quite powerful, and it's quite a sleek interface. I just haven't bothered switching from TopoDroid to QWave.
If I can throw in there, I started learning Oh yeah, again, TopoDroid was the first phone app that I started using for cave surveying, and I absolutely hated it. It's just really hard to master, and it's annoying. And yes, Sexy Topo is it's only a few years old, and it used to have terrible problems with crashing and losing data, but it's slowly getting better and better, and it's got advanced features like disto-X calibration and stuff like that. My feeling is that TopoDroid is more orientated towards drawing Therion surveys sort of in the app itself, whereas Sexy Topo and Quave are more about creating a sketch. Although they do have capabilities to be exported into Therion format as well. My own personal recommendation would be that if you're starting cave surveying these days, use Quave, or if not, use Sexy Topo, because they're quite similar, but they just have slightly different features that some people may prefer one way or another. I wouldn't recommend actually learning to use TopoDroid from scratch these days, because I think it'll just put you off. It was a good option.
Said, if you are learning Therion kind of as you're learning cave surveying at the same time, TopoDroid is very good because it kind of automatically generates your files for you, and pretty much like a producible survey straight away. Like it looks trashy, but it's a very easy way to learn Therion because everything's kind of done automatically for you, and you can see a correct file structure. So that I think that's another benefit.
Yeah,
if
but
you can
I think Sexy Topo will do that as well, and Quave. They both have that capability. I don't know what the quality of the output is though, because I know that you can output Survex files from all three of those programs, but Quave is the only one that I find that does it very well, that does it nicely. The others tend to have errors and bugs and things. So I hope that's some use to was it Valerie? What was her name?
Joanna Meldner.
Joanna.
Hi, Joanna. Right.
Continue.
So what I do like about exporting not as an image, when you export the images, they can be quite low quality and difficult to see where things are placed. Maybe I don't know how to use TopoDroid, but if you export the TH2 file, you can kind of directly edit the walls and the objects that are actually present here. So if I right click on this line, I can edit the line and I can convert it to a curve. So if you zoom in, you can actually see that this is just a series of points connected by straight lines. It looks trashy. That's just how TopoDroid produces it. You can convert them to curves and you'll get a nice smooth Bezier curve. You will have to go along these curves though and smooth out kinks in them, such as this. So you can delete points. I just want a straight line or straight curve between there and there. I would just delete that point. Don't delete the symbol. That'll delete the entire line. Delete the point. And that has smoothed out the line. But if you want to edit the line, you can twist it around, make sure that it doesn't intersect back over itself. I believe you can generate errors doing that. General idea is drag these arms around. You can use these purple ones as well, and you can pretty much generate any kind of curve that you want. So the idea is you're going to do that to all of your walls. You're going to redraw all of your boulders because they look trashy. Like, that's not art, and cave surveying is art. You want it to look nice. These are supposed to represent slopes. So if I remember correctly, the passage, here's the entrance. This is supposed to represent a slope going this way. So we can go to this line. We can right click. I want to convert it to a curve to make it look nice. I also don't want it to be, so if you click it and go up to here, you can see the line type. TopoDroid, when you export your lines, will just have this random type U :user. That's what generated that red line in the survey here. And the area was also a user-defined area. You want to get rid of that. So I want to change it to slope. So I'm going to find the slope. And if I just zoom in here, you may be able to see on your screens, I don't know how good the quality is, there's a little yellow tick. This indicates the direction of the slope. You want to make sure if the slope is to the left, that this yellow tick is pointing to the left.
Yeah, they probably
Also,
won't be able to see the yellow line, but
okay,
if you just hover where it is, Adam, just a point.
just here. If I keep zooming, that won't help. Okay.
Yeah, that'll do.
Basically, the little yellow tick going that way, that indicates that the slope is going this way and not that way. Also, with your walls, I'm not sure what errors can occur because of it. I think it generally is something to do with areas and connecting points. My yellow tick for the wall is pointing outwards, which is wrong. You want it to be pointing inwards. So if you click reverse, this is how you change the direction of that tick. Click reverse, and the tick points inwards. The good thing about Therion, points will snap together. So you can connect the walls up quite easily. Convert the curve. I don't know what happened there. Ah, there we go. And we can generate a nice smooth wall there. Oh, we've slightly fixed up the survey. So that's the general idea. You go into your TH2 file, you make it look nice, and then you compile it after including it into your .th file. So I will now just skip onto a finished version of the project, which includes not just this sketch. So this is the entrance kind of part of the cave. Down here, we discovered another series of the cave. And here we also discovered two large kind of pitch series, small pitch series. And we attached them all together. So let me go close this. Sure, I'll save that. I like what I did. Close that trash. And I'll just go back to my main Tiger Trap folder. So this is all of my data for how Tiger Trap looks. And if I open up Tiger Trap main plan and Tiger Trap main elevation, so everything that I showed you for the plan is the same for the elevation. You just have to redraw all your sketches for the elevation. So this is the plan. And this looks a million times nicer. I actually hate the yellow. I don't like yellow surveys. I just made it yellow because Dachstein Caving Expedition seems to like yellow surveys. I don't know. Here's the entrance chamber, redrawn quite nicely. The slopes are pointing inwards. Actually, this here was a pit or a drop, not a slope. And you can see here where that last sketch abruptly ended. There is a nice smooth join here to this section of the cave. And the same over here. There is a smooth join to wherever this extra section joined. And you can also see this lower passage generated transparent, or yeah, the upper passage is transparent and allows you to view the lower passage under it. I'm not sure if that has to do with the transparent layout option. I think that has to do with the break option in the TH2 file. So the last thing I'm going to mention or go over is how you will join multiple sketches together and multiple center lines together. So I'm going to open, my God, tigertrap.th, I believe is the main file. There we go. So as Petie was telling us earlier, we have a kind of a hierarchy or a pyramid of files. We've got a main th file called tigertrap.th, giving us the title tigertrap, and we want to include other centerline files. So we're going to input tigertrap entrance. We've got the sunburn series and the righty tidy series. So we input tigertrap sunburn and input tigertrap righty tidy. I'll also open those to show you what they look like. So we've got the entrance, which looks the same as that last one that I showed you. This one, that was the same kind of thing. And each of these will have their own sets of data. We're going to input the plan files, so your TH2 sketches. Input your elevation files, which are also TH2 sketches, just looking at the cave from the side. And then pretty much in the exact same way, so you've inputted your files. You then begin your center line and you end your center line. And in here is where you're going to equate the survey stations. So maybe I should have shown you the center line in this generated survey, but this survey station is contained in this sketch here, the left-hand side, and the right-hand side here. and we use the equate feature to tell Therion how to join these two sketches. So we've got a skeleton here and a skeleton here. If we don't equate them, Therion doesn't know where they lie relative to each other. So we tell Therion, equate station 1 in the Sunburn series to station 2.2 in the entrance. So that'll link those two together at that point. And the same with the righty-tighty series with the entrance. So this here is the righty-tighty, which has station 4. That connects to station 4 in the entrance. Then you want to join the walls. So we can join the skeleton, but the sketches don't automatically join together. So we might have the walls in the left sketch and the walls in the right sketch drawn not properly. We join the skeletons together and then the walls aren't joined. So in each of the th2 files, we go find the wall. In the entrance, we find wall 1 and we join it to Sunburn wall 1, which will automatically, because Therion's really smart and uses some special magic, it'll join those two walls together with magic. And we do that for each wall or whatever it is that we want to join. I don't think you need to join walls individually. You can join scraps, and there's some crazy magic that works, and it somehow figures out how to join just sketches together. I think they need to be pretty close to each other for it to work properly, but Therion is really, really powerful, so I don't think you actually need as much detail in your joins here. But that joins the Sunburn series to the entrance. This will join the righty-tighty series to the entrance, which is in and around this section here. So that's just some more joins. And the last thing is your map. So we've got the map, we've called it Tiger Trap Plan, the projection is the plan, and we're given the map a title, Tiger Trap Plan. And then we include all of the scraps that we want to include in the plan. So this one is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scraps. So those scraps, I can actually open them up for you and show you a couple of them. Let's see. Sunburn. Nope, wrong one. So to open up your th2 files, you need to go into the th2 file editor and open from there. Let's go to the Sunburn series and we'll open up the plan. This is what part of it looks like. So I've drawn multiple different sketches for the Sunburn series. So we can close that and look at a different one. Open up Sunburn 2 plan. This is a lower section. And one of them looks better. 3 plan maybe. Ugh. Where's the good one? 4p, please. Okay, they're all awful looking. Either way, these are the different scraps with different names. You can see the names here. Tiger Trap, Sunburn, 4p. Tiger Trap, Sunburn, 4p. The order that you want to write them here will be the higher in actual physical height. If this passage is higher up than this passage here, if they're at the same level, it doesn't matter what order they're present. So entrance 1p and righty-tighty 1p are at the same level and they're joined together, so they can be interchangeable here. We put this break feature in, or this break function, which tells us these are on top of these, which gives us this effect here. It's now transparent and we can see the passage under. It's broken this top and bottom away from each other and made this top one transparent, so we can look down and we can actually see this passage under. Again, I'm not sure if you can see this through the internet quality, but maybe.
Anything that's small, Adam, just note that it'll be quite difficult for them to see.
Right,
if you want me to zoom in on anything, I can zoom directly in on the screen.
Yeah, it's fine. It should be fine. Basically, it makes the upper passage, anything above here is transparent to anything that's below it, so you can see it if you've got a computer screen, or if you've got this on your computer screen. So we've also got the same thing, the map for the elevation. So map for Tiger Trap elevation, you include all the scraps that you want for the elevation, and your map, and then end survey at the end. So this main file joins a bunch of other TH files together. It joins all of the sketches together and connects them, connects all the stations, connects different walls, and you then tell it, we want this map structure, which sketches that you want to include from the different files. So then, as usual, you will open up your thconfig file, and we can right, okay, here is where you want to select Tiger Trap plan or elevation. Because we've got multiple maps, we want to select which one we export. So first we want to export the plan. So we select the plan, export the plan, and then we change our selection to the elevation, and then we export our elevation. You can also generate a LOX model. I think that's the 3D model, whatever. I'm going to delete that. Let's see if this breaks on us. The bigger your file, the longer it takes. Yeah, I don't know why I keep getting that error, but it seems to work. Anyways, finally, you end up with your plan, which is this squiggly boy here, and the elevation. I think someone in the YouTube... Oh, God. This is the old elevation. It was going so well. It was going so well. Okay, yeah, so this happened to me before. I've maybe opened up an old folder and there is wrong joining of the walls, or possibly... Interesting. I thought I had a elevation.
That's fine,
somewhere.
Adam. It's fine.
I'm so disappointed. I thought I was going to have a perfect run. Oh well, that's... This is some of the problems Therion gives you. That is a horrible mess of twist of lines, and generally it's extremely difficult to figure out what has gone wrong. I remember, this exact problem happened to me before when I first drew the survey, and it took me like several days to figure out why I had just twisted everything up, and it was a problem with the survey data and the survey points that were in the th2 file, I think, and how they were referenced or how they were linked. Yeah, this is not a problem that I can solve right now, but that's the general idea. This is your elevation. I did actually add a rope, and you can see how the cave drops down, blah, 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 blah. And it's also transparent, so you can see this other, you crawl in this little hole here, and you can see another pitch series behind it. So it's a very basic survey. It's a very unfinished survey, actually. I thought this was the final version, but that's the general idea behind Therion. So I want to show you what not to do with Therion. Lastly, I'm going to open up my Pulnagollum survey. So we've been trying to resurvey Pulnagollum for a couple of weekends at this point, and this is actually, I'll show you this here. I quite like the original Pulnagollum survey. This is Pulnagollum. And so far we've surveyed about 2 kilometers of passage, which looks like this. So it's a bit more complicated than Tiger Trap. We've got quite a lot of loop closures. So any loops, these loops here. This is so far.
Just for those not familiar with Irish caves, that's in County
Clare. So this is actually our longest cave system in Ireland, which is over 16 kilometers long. It's also one of the best caves in Ireland. It's really, really fantastic. It's quite a lot of amazing streamway, small crawls, muddy sections, pitches. Yeah, you got a bit of everything in here. But it's over 16 kilometers long. So we're like, oh yeah, let's just resurvey it for the crack. And so far we've got 1390. Now there is a section that I haven't added on, which is another couple of 100 meters. So we've probably got about 1,500 meters so far, which is this, which corresponds in the original survey is kind of this area here. Not a whole lot. So for 2 weekends of surveying, I made my data like this. I don't recommend doing it like this. This is why you should have multiple TH files. In 1 weekend, we did 300. Oh yeah, okay. We have 320 legs, or 320, nearly 320 stations recorded. that's a mess. It's not good to work with. I would not continue adding on to this single th file. Also, we've got quite a lot of stuff here. The structure is really messy, and we've only got 1.5 kilometers done out of 16 kilometers. So really, one of the most important points about cave surveying in general, not just Therion or Survex, is you want your survey data well structured. Have an idea in advance of how you're going to structure your survey data, because it very quickly can get really, really out of control, and it's very difficult to then produce your survey. So if I went back, I'm going to completely start a new folder in my TopoDroid, just call it, Pulnagollum Streamway Part 2, and then work from there, and then create that hierarchy of files and join them at the end, because this is ridiculous. Well, it's not so ridiculous if you were just surveying in a straight line, but you get the idea.
Don't lie, Adam. You love it.
I look at that. That's amazing. I love that. Look at all this work. That's 2 days of work. No, is it 4 days of work? That's 4 days of work. Yeah. 3 days. Actually, yeah, it's 3 days. So yeah, I love it. Of course, I love it. But I think that's me. How long did I talk for? That felt like ages. An hour.
About an hour. An hour. Yeah. About that. Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully everyone learned a little bit about Therion. It's not that different from Survex, actually. The main difference is just you've got the sketch files to join in with it, and the errors that you can get are the same as the Survex errors, plus a million other errors. You didn't see any of the errors there, really, other than that horrible to fix one. But yeah, keep talking. Yeah. So if there's any questions, please ask them in the comment section, or oh yeah, I'll stop sharing my screen. Yeah, if you have any questions, I probably won't be able to answer them because I'm not that well versed in Therion. I taught myself, and documentation is really, really confusing. So, but yeah, thanks for listening for 2 hours. Anyone who listened to it for 2 hours?
Is anyone still there?
Is anyone still there? I doubt it.
Talking to ourselves.
Well, you'll be glad to know there's 28 people still here.
Oh wow!
How many of those are? Okay, so if anyone actually watched the whole survey, please, or watched the whole live stream, please comment, because you deserve props.
Yeah.
Camilla's back as well now, so I'm just going to get Camilla into the chat as well. We'll get her face up.
Hello back, everyone. So I'm not sure if my Skype is going to work properly. If it's not, you already know where I'm going to appear. So I brought you some questions just to chat a bit with you two. So how many hours do you usually spend working with the data after collecting them?
It varies on how much you surveyed, I guess. I mean,
that'll vary very differently from Petie to me as well, because his workflow is completely different to mine. You'd probably have quite a lot of survey rewriting from your pages, right?
Yeah, it depends. Like it's got. The way I used to draw surveys was that I would write them down in a book onto paper, and I would have to clean my survey book and then dry the survey book and then transfer everything into Excel, and then Excel into the text files using Survex to AutoCAD. AutoCAD print it out on paper and then sketch it to redo the sketch, to redefine it, scan it back in, and then send it to Stephen McNamara to be drawn in Survex or drawn in.
You just have far too much time.
You need to get one of these.
Yeah, well, yeah, I have done. So smartphone has speeded everything up immensely, but it'll depend on the workflow. Adam there went straight from smartphone into Therion, whereas I would prefer to redraw the sketch on paper just to refine the sketch, because often you're not the person drawing the survey, or if you are, the survey might be drawn much later, and you're depending on a scratchy survey that you drew at speed. So yeah, it could be like as little as half an hour just sorting everything out and archiving everything before you start drawing, or it can be spread out over evenings. How about you, Adam?
Well, it depends. So generally, there's very little time done nowadays there's very little time done messing with the data because
Yeah, you're
if
straight
you've
into
got
it.
your predefined kind of structure of how you're going to do it while you're doing your stuff in TopoDroid, you know how many different sketches you're going to make. You know when you're gonna, all right, I'm gonna stop this folder and I'm just gonna make a new survey and I'm gonna link them later. If you kind of have that idea in your head, you're kind of pre-organized. You've really got very little kind of post-processing of the data. You can just throw it all together and link it, and you can start sketching straight away. In fact, usually I don't mess with the data. I'll export all my sketches and I'll just start editing them, and then I kind of mess with the data if I have to. But yeah, that's one of the good things about digital surveying is there's not a whole lot of messing with the data.
Yeah, definitely.
It depends though.
It depends on your experience as well.
Yeah.
If you don't know the software, you'll just spend ages hung up on simple problems.
Yeah.
It's also probably important to say that these aren't the only ways to survey.
There's a million other times a way to survey.
Yeah. These are just two ways that are in common currency. And Survex, which I showed you guys, it's not actually a drawing program. It's just like it's a 3D modeling program, and it's also an intermediary stage because you can export those centerline data to be used in other programs. And some methods are quicker than others. So.
Does that mean we have a personal line to you, Petie, if we ever have any issues? You just ring
Yeah,
up.
no, seriously, come to me because or come to Adam because there's a relatively small pool of people who are well versed in surveying techniques. I know when I started playing with Survex, I didn't know anyone who used it, and it was just a nightmare trying to learn it. I think Stephen McNamara was probably the first person in Ireland to start using Therion, and he kind of only did it because he was living in, I think, either Latvia or Lithuania for a year, and he had no other caving to do, so he could sit down and just force himself to learn this program. Whereas now there's actually 4 or 5 people in Ireland who know how to use Therion.
I when I first started trying to teach myself how to use Therion, I think Stephen McNamara was probably the only person I knew who properly knew how to use it. And I was trying to draw a survey and connect 2 sketches together. Whatever was going wrong, I hadn't a clue. I was getting all sorts of errors. So you were there actually. We had gone on a Shannon trip, and it was the middle of the night. It was like piss and rain, and I brought my laptop up to Fermanagh just so I could talk to Steve.
Oh yeah, that was in the farm.
In the farmyard. Like it was piss and rain outside, I believe. And I was like, right, Steve, I'm taking my laptop out. Please, before we leave, like he wanted to drive home to probably Belfast, or we probably all wanted to go to bed or get dinner. I was like, Steve, please help me fix this error. I brought my laptop from Dublin just to get him to fix an error, and he fixed it in like 2 seconds. Yeah, so steep learning curve, but when you get it, it's real quick.
Yeah, and the help is there if you know where to ask, and there are other tutorials online which sort of walk you through things. So.
And others show more tutorials as well. Thank you for you guys.
Yeah, that actually turned out quite more of a tutorial / mini workshop than I was planning. Like I didn't think we were going to be talking for 2 hours on like actually how to use it. I thought it was going to be more of an overview. It's fine. It's there. It's saved if people want to scan through it really quick.
Not like you have anywhere else to be.
Yeah, true.
So Rocky's asking, what was your first cave survey?
My own first cave survey was, I can actually tell you now what it is. I'll look in my phone. So probably Carramore Caverns. Yeah.
The first thing I remember you drawing was Station Master. You drew it up as a practice.
Did I do that before Carramore?
I think you did. I think it was one of the first ones you did.
I kind of meant just like my own survey.
Okay.
I've been trying to resurvey Carramore Caverns. So just for those who don't know what Carramore Caverns is, it's a cave in Sligo, which is currently the 3rd deepest cave in Ireland at about 140 meters deep, I think. And it's it's the deepest accessible cave in the country at the moment because Pulnagame and Rayfad are currently inaccessible. So we've decided, we'll redo the survey just for fun, not for any reason. But I think it's not finished. But yeah, no, I've done Station Master with you probably before Carramore. It's not my own survey though.
My first one was a cave called Lake Nagay Cave, which is also the first cave I discovered and explored. And it was 20 meters long in a dead straight line. And I didn't even survey it. I paced it out because you could walk down the full length of it. And I knew the direction of it from a map and from like the jointing of the rock. So I just drew this straight line cave entirely in AutoCAD, and it turned out nicely. But the first proper one I did, I think, was Tully Holvan, which I surveyed with Al Kennedy, and that again was mostly in AutoCAD, which is a very laborious way of drawing a cave survey. Not too bad for a small cave, but as soon as they get bigger, it's kind of horrendous.
Yeah, that's where Therion will come in different, actually. Like, if you're drawing a small cave survey, Petie's method works quite well. You can get really, really gorgeous. Like, Pete, you should put a link up, Camilla, somehow in this video to Petie's surveys, if he is able to do that, because Petie's surveys are gorgeous.
Yeah.
He does a lot of it in Illustrator, right?
I can show you one, which is... Am I screen sharing there?
It's nice to highlight that you won
a
prize because of your surveys as well.
Show them the post-zoomer. Oh wait, pause there. This is the finished Tiger Trap survey.
Yeah.
So without the twists. Yeah.
With both pieces on the same sheet, and this actually was tidied up in Illustrator. Just as a shortcut. But this is an early survey I did of Deep Pot on Largy. And this is all in Illustrator. We'll just zoom, yeah. So you can get quite nice effects with the likes of Illustrator. It's a little bit more, unique. You could do this easily in Therion as well, but I think it'll look a bit bland maybe, and it'll look like a Therion survey.
It's too blurry.
So Therion, the bigger the cave, basically, the better Therion will work, because the whole idea is that you draw something once and you can keep adding to it. So it's brilliant for caves that are currently being explored, where you're adding stuff on every year and you can reproduce the survey again and again and again with new segments. Whereas for individual caves, it's just as good maybe to draw them in a slightly more traditional format. Yeah.
And do you find any issues when you were working with data after, like, I don't know, a big pitch or small passage or big passage? If you have any issues to work with this data? Oh my God, Ange, I love that. Don't forget to like and subscribe, everyone.
Was that
give your thumbs up, yes, please, and share for friends. Yeah, leave it there. But yeah, do you find any issues to work with some different data or something?
Yes. Wait, as in different environments?
Like if there is a big pitch or a different passage, or like can you give us some example of that?
Particularly big pitches are tricky to work with. I've never actually worked with a big pitch. Like, I think I've only ever tried a survey down one pitch, which was in Tiger Trap, and we had a 15-meter pitch maybe, and just trying to kind of lean yourself over the edge with your disto, and you have to take 3 points that are the same point for it to register it as a station. You've got the person down at the bottom marking the station, and the laser, just any wobble in your hand makes quite a large wobble 15 meters away, and that's, I found, really difficult. But you get it eventually. I don't actually know what the best way to survey down pitches is. I think, especially if it's a really, really deep pitch, multi-pitch, you're probably going to have it to be like survey and rebelay to rebelay. Petey?
Yeah, I guess very small passage is very difficult to survey, and very big passage is very difficult to survey. I don't have much experience of doing big stuff either. Like, you can survey for years and still not really feel that you're an expert in it. I'd love to have been involved in the surveying of a big, deep alpine cave, because it'll bring challenges that you'll never get in Ireland. So no, I can't claim to have a great amount of experience of difficulties like that.
Wet caves are particularly difficult. I mean, when I was doing Carramore Caverns, we went into the upstream passage. Actually, we two problems. So you remember when we went to the downstream passage, how muddy that got quite quickly? The upstream passage is way worse. You're kind of traversing over this kind of mud sump drop thing, and you know the mud wall is like this thick, and you have to like jam your fists in. Then you're just covered in this mud, and then you can't see the disc docks. The disc docks is covered in mud, and then you get up to this quite small, narrow, bit of streamy passage. You're crawling in it, and it's dripping constantly, and just a single drop of water down into the lens completely messes with the disto. The laser won't work, and then you try and get the water off, and then you realize inside the lens is fogged up, so then the disto won't record your points and gives you errors until the fog has disappeared. So you have to really be careful with your disto that you do not get any water into here. I'm not actually sure what the best way to prevent that is. If you could put a layer over it somehow without affecting it.
I know that in Matt Palmer was telling me that on a Philippines expedition, every evening there was this ritual of getting Ziploc bags, cutting them up and sellotaping them around the disto, and just leaving a tiny hole for the beam to fire out. And still then he said there's a lot of surveying in canals and in whitewater rapids, and it was very difficult to achieve.
There is a nice question here. It's about sharing data. So there's two actually. The first one is if you are surveying with more people and you need multiple days to do it, and sometimes it's not the same people who goes to the cave to survey. How do you share those data? And before you answer this one, there's another one which is there any place that people can find our surveys? I know there is. I'm just giving it to bring action.
Yeah, I think that question from Joanna is actually as well related to the new version of the COFAC and other Irish Cave survey books that are being released and or have been released.
Stations is important.
Yeah, I guess agree on formats early on, and agree on how you're going to mark the station, how you know where someone following your tracks is going to mark a station, things like that. In Australia, where I was caving about a year and a half ago, they had a very good system where they would use like pink and orange flagging tape, and they would write on it what the survey station was. And sometimes you're going around a cave and you're tying into survey stations that were left 20, 25 years ago, even longer. They build cairns so that, I think there was a cave we were in, Udansala. It was explored in 1982, and we were tying our survey into cairns that had been there all that time. So they were kind of, I don't know, thinking ahead in a way that we don't often do in Ireland. I guess you just need to be all working from the same page, all drilled, all understand what the objective is and what kind of data you want to produce.
That is the most important point, is communicate the data structure, how you're going to do it. Otherwise, you're going to mess up.
Yeah.
I found for myself, for coming back to surveys, months later, is like digital surveying. You've got your phone, which most likely will have a camera, most likely a somewhat decent camera these days. I like to not only just take a picture of the survey station, but take a picture of the kind of chamber that you're in. So, okay, my survey station is on the wall there. Kind of take a distant photo if you can, so you kind of know you're in the right passage, and then go up close and kind of take a picture of where the survey station is as well. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I don't actually like to mark a survey station with Tipex or something, just because, I don't know, there's a lot of debate whether you should ever mark survey stations with Tipex, but if you kind of made a mud X that you can clean off later, taking a picture of it and taking a picture of the chamber so you can find the survey stations again is kind of helpful. But I think communication, and that's probably the biggest thing there about sharing your data. Like, if you're well versed in cave surveying, you're probably going to get the general. If someone gives you data, you're going to have an idea. Okay, well, this is fairly obvious what's going on here. Maybe not, but communication is key.
And then as well, the second question is about how is survey data disseminated. I guess we're not great at, like, generally it's published in the form of journals, stuff like the University of Bristol Speleological Society would have published all of the early Clare surveys. In the SUI, we publish our journal, our Speleology, where we publish surveys. Sometimes you have club journals like the Shannon publishing stuff. Sometimes they're made freely available on the internet. I know on the Shannon Group website we have a couple of surveys that we drew. In general, people, I suppose, tend to be a little bit possessive of the surveys, maybe, just so they can control
that attitude myself.
Yeah. I know that Hugh Norton, who was drawing stuff in Therion, he was surveying some caves near Marble Arch last year, and he put all of his survey files up online on GitHub so that anyone can download them.
Yeah,
there can be huge disputes in big caves about who controls the data, to the point where I showed you a Survex model of Drynan, which is whatever is 50, 60, 70 kilometers of cave passage, which was surveyed in the 90s, but there's never been a published survey, a complete published survey produced, because there's a dispute about control over the survey. So all you have is that Survex file, really, which is inadequate given the size of the cave. I suppose in Ireland, really, there should be some kind of digital archive maybe produced and have surveys put up on it.
I'd actually planned to, for this purpose of this live stream, and I thought maybe if I put up the survey data, all the tiger trap stuff in advance, so people might be able to follow along. But then I was kind of thinking, well, will Backstein Cave and Expeditions get a bit like, stop publishing our surveys online? Do I actually own that survey even though I drew it? So also, I figured, people won't be able to follow along to a Therion thing. That was supposed to not be a workshop. So, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that
Good question,
answers.
Joanna.
Yeah. And I don't know. Well, hi again. So I had some issues with my Skype, so that's why I'm here. Hi guys again. And so yeah, when you are collecting data, well, you use Disto to do it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think there will be any problem with people that there isn't Disto and want to do it with laser tape, or to measure some other way, like in the old times, but then just put the data on it?
No problem at all.
No problem at all.
This stuff has only really been widely used for the past maybe 5 years. It's been around longer, but it was people didn't really have them as much. But I was still surveying into a book until this time last year, actually, writing everything down with pen and paper. I was using a compass and tape up until maybe 2017, and there's no issue with those surveys. It's more tedious, certainly. It's slower. There's certain ways in which it might be less accurate. There's certain ways in which it might be more accurate. But
I was saying this last night to Petie, actually, but like it may be a method where we'll go back to temporarily anyway. Like if people have laser measurement devices and compasses and clinos, because the Distox, the Leica Distox X310 isn't produced anymore, so we can't create more Distos. So as people's Distos break, we have nothing really to replace them with.
Yeah,
not currently anyway. There's a number of projects, like you see on Facebook, Cavers Facebook. There's a number of people actually producing their own kind of proprietary surveying equipment, but it's not mass produced at all. So we may find ourselves going backwards a little bit before we go forwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And certainly, I'd still use stuff like a tape and a diver's compass if I was surveying something maybe really wet, like a flat out crawl to water or a series of ducks, somewhere where you don't want your precious disto to be destroyed, because it's never coming back. It's like they're like human lives now at this point.
So
Yeah.
€420 the value of a human life.
Sounds all right.
I think we can
€420 plus shipping.
And with this statement, I believe we can end our live stream. I would like to thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here. And thank you, Adam, for being there.
No problem.
Thank you, and for don't let people forget to like and subscribe our channel. And thank you, Paul, to set up everything. Oh my God, you're all dressed up.
Don't worry, Angela's going to be taking over the reins of running the stream next week.
Yeah, they can see it. You can see what that says, right?
Yeah, we can see that.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel.
I'll make it bigger for everyone to see.
Where's the subscribe button?
It's someplace down here. I don't know, but yeah, thank you everyone for watching this. I'll put the minutes on after in the comments, or not the comments, I'm sorry, but in the description of this video, so you can see when they are going to talk about Therion and Survex, and then the discussion after that. Yeah. And well, hopefully we'll see each other next week, though. And if you have any more questions or any theme suggestions, just bring it up to us through our YouTube channel, Facebook, or Instagram, and let us know what you want to see here or to hear. Yay, we'll be here to the end of the lockdown. So if we are free, yeah.
Don't see why we can't go longer, right?
Yeah. I'm just enjoying this so much, and then we can have probably, people talking closely. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, to watching, and thank you two to accept this invite to come along with your knowledge.
Absolutely, no problem. And thanks, Paul, for again doing all the tech hosting for the live stream.
Yeah, it's a bit of a madness at times, but that's why you can see like faces randomly move all the time, and like people's screens get bigger and smaller constantly while I try and like manage what's on the display. But yeah, it's all a big learning curve anyway. I enjoy it.
It's going well. Petie. Right. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks
No
for listening.
worries.
Thanks,
Right.
Camilla.
Bye, everyone.
Petie.
Bye-bye.